Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of the reasons why Mark Shapiro came out and said both WWE and UFC are $20 billion companies.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're money making machines right now, and but you also don't. No matter how much money you're making, popularity can be a fleeting thing, as we've seen over the years. So you still want to keep the creative strong. I think they hit a home run with the CM Punk Roman Reigns stuff, but you definitely want to keep the creative strong, and you don't want that. You don't want that to fall because it wasn't that long ago when they weren't selling out these arenas and charging and being able to charge these high ticket prices. So you definitely don't want to rest on your laurels.
That promo was great, by the way.
Yeah,
And it's hard
absolutely.
to get excited about a promo because I've seen and been a part of some really good ones. That was a great promo. I would have liked to have just been the referee in the ring at that point. That was a good. That struck all the chords. I think to be critical, there were a couple periods during that promo when I went, oh, I wish they would have just left that out. You know what I mean? Because there was a point in the middle where it felt like it was just not moving anywhere. It was starting to slow down a little bit. And once you get them and you've got their attention, you want to hold on to them. You don't want to feel like you're losing them. And I think it just got a little verbose, much like I do on this show. It got a little verbose in the middle, but then it finished so strong. It was a classic promo. I loved it.
Yeah, it did feel like it was tapering off a little bit, and then Roman started cooking and took it home.
It's funny watching Roman, and I'm going to go back and watch this one. I'd like to watch it with somebody who was really interested in learning how to do a great promo, and just keep the audio off and just focus on facial expressions. Because that's when Roman, when he finally hit his gear, and I was waiting for him to go, man. I mean, I don't know Roman well enough to have a sense of his timing or his cadence or anything like that, but I'm thinking, come on, dude. What are you waiting for? They're waiting for you. Why are you holding back? And then once he let it go, and he did it, with facial expressions, you could see the gears in his brain start changing, and you could see it all on his face. It was really, really well done.
Yeah, and it was one of those where you don't know where the fiction ends and the reality begins, and I think that sometimes makes wrestling the best. And
you can
and
find that. When you can find that's when you've got a real issue that the audience is aware of. You're not building the whole story on it, but you can throw that little bit of that backstory in here or there to help tie it all together. And what that does is it makes it believable. You're giving the audience permission to believe that this is real because they're telling you things, they're using things that are true. Therefore, it allows you to believe what you're seeing and hearing, therefore, is true, or at least it could be. That's the magic of taking a real life situation and finding the right way to weave it into a current story. I loved it.
Yeah, and just off of that one promo, it kind of feels like the biggest WrestleMania singles match that they've had in a long time.
And I'm sorry, guys, I just get excited about this stuff. And the mistake that a lot of less experienced performers, and by that I mean people that haven't been doing it at a high level for 10 years, the mistake they make when they bring in the backstory is they rely too much on it. It becomes the focus of the story. And that's old news. People won't care. But the way they just kind of salt and peppered it in here and there, again, I thought it was really, really well done.
Raj, I want to ask you a little bit about the Royal Rumble. I know that a lot of us, myself included, we kind of expected Chris Jericho to be there. He was not. We did see the debut of Royce Keys, but I thought that even that was interesting and worth pointing out. Eric, do you remember a time in history where WWE acknowledged someone's previous name? Like the big Jumbotron said Powerhouse Hobbs, and then it transitioned into Royce Keys, and even the lower third said formerly known as Powerhouse Hobbs. I almost never remember seeing that. I can't think of another time when I remember seeing that. What did you make of that, Eric? And then, Raj, I want to hear from you. When do we think we'll see Chris Jericho?
I thought it was really awkward. And in fact, I think we talked about this perhaps the week before, and talked about, is this the right time to introduce Royce Keys? And I thought not, for the very reason that the audience didn't know how to react to him. It's like they wanted to react, but they didn't know what or who they were reacting to. And then to stutter step, you literally brought the audience in by tripping them. It's like, come on into my house. Come on in. Have a glass of wine. Have some dinner. Oh, trip. Sorry. Didn't mean to trip you. They tripped up the audience with that Powerhouse Hobbs and then transition to Royce Keys. It was confusing and awkward. And really surprised me. That's not typically a WWE kind of move. I thought it was a fumble conceptually, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. And in fairness, we won't really know if I'm right or not, because that was not the right audience to do it to. Had they tried that same device to introduce Royce Keys in the U.S. in front of a U.S. domestic audience, perhaps. But man, it was like a double whammy. You're introducing somebody that the local audience really doesn't know, and you're doing it with a stutter step, which is bizarre.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We did talk about that last week, how debuting him in Saudi Arabia would be the wrong move. Because AEW doesn't air on television out there. They're on a streaming service, I believe it's called Stars Play, that has 2.5 million subscribers total over the entire Middle East. So it's a really small amount of people that are watching AEW. And I know, like, when I say, no one Saudi is watching AEW, that's why Powerhouse Hobbs, got no reaction. And then I have people being like, hey, there was an AEW sign in the crowd. Literally, literally zero people are watching AEW, but vast majority are not. They're not familiar with who he is. And we discussed it last week that it would be a mistake debuting him there. They did. He got a very mild reaction. And I just think if they would have waited till Monday in Philly, that first reaction would have been a lot bigger. But, that being said, in the long run, it doesn't matter. If he's going to get over, he's going to get over. But it is always nice seeing that first reaction, because sometimes, those are the memories that last. Like AJ Styles, when he first debuted at the Royal Rumble, you always remember that moment. Or Chris Jericho coming in. So it felt like an opportunity that kind of went to waste. But again, if he's going to be a star, he's going to be a star regardless. As for Chris Jericho, still on the AEW roster page. He's playing it close to the vest. He's not tipping his hand. So who knows? I mean, did he sign an extension with AEW? Has Tony Khan added time to his contract for, missing time for concerts and things like that? All those things are possibilities. Tony Khan has added time in the past to guys when they were injured and things like that, which is a common practice that WWE does. So, those could all be possibilities. But, that makes it more fun not knowing. And, knowing Chris Jericho in the past, when people kind of got tipped off to when he was going to show up, he did try to get him off the scent. So we'll see where he pops up. I still think it's going to be WWE. I think it'd be most effective in WWE. We saw this with WWF and WCW. The going back and forth just really freshens up talent and gives them a fresh coat of paint. So, I think it really would benefit Jericho to move, just like there are some guys in WWF I think WWE, that could benefit by moving to AEW.
But you look at Chris Jericho, first of all, I think financially he's probably very, very, very well set. I don't think Chris is going to necessarily do something just for the money, but let's be honest about it. If Chris has the opportunity and Tony is still interested in Chris, from just a purely financial perspective, AEW would be a better choice. Because Chris is not going to make the amount of money in WWE, on a one-year farewell tour that he could conceivably make at AEW over the next 3 years.
SaveWithConrad.com.
Yeah, I'm Justin Ruffin from Knoxville, Tennessee. What got me to Save with Conrad was the 83 Weeks podcast. I really wasn't thinking about getting rid of any debt. I just wanted to cash out some equity in the house to do remodeling. But I did both, so that was pretty awesome. Worked out great. We redid the foyer, built pantry space, and there's like little odds and ends when I first bought the house that I wanted to take care of, and we were able to take care of it. So, yeah, paid off 2 cars and some credit card debt. So probably all in all, get $30,000 in that, and then I got some $30,000 more equity out of the house, and still plenty of equity left over. So payment's good. I lowered my interest rate. I'm in a much better spot than I was. Super easy. Everybody was great. Very, very awesome people. Francis and Steve were great to work with. They were awesome. Made it for a very easy, seamless experience. I'd probably say all in all, probably $1,000 a month at least. I lowered my interest rate, especially the way the interest rates are right now, which is, that's amazing. I'm Justin Bruckman from Knoxville, Tennessee. I saved over $1,000 with SaveWithConrad.com, and I did a lot of renovations with that money as well.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender. SaveWithConrad.com.